update time. I'm not gonna go over everything. I'm just gonna go over the important stuff. Because if I do it now, then I won't have to do it on the update day. I can just focus on getting the creatures I want, and really there's only one. I mean, there are others I would get, but apparently they're all getting raid bosses. So let's just start with the new raid bosses are all, except for Post-Dimetrodon, are all new creatures, replacing Sinoceratops, Erlicogamma, Pyritator, Mammotherium, Smilonemes, and Grypolith. All getting replaced by new creatures and Post-Dimetrodon, which I'm honestly okay with. I think the only one that's really going to affect my guild is Sinoceratops, as a lot of people use that for Thorador, but it's not that big a deal because Sinoceratops isn't honestly that hard to come by. I think it spawns everywhere, all the time. So, yeah. And I kind of knew it was going to be Sinoceratops and Erlicogamma because you can't get rid of the T-Rex. That's like a staple raid. I knew they weren't going to get rid of Scorpius or Indominus, so I knew that Mammotherium and the other guy were going to go. And I knew Indoraptor wasn't going to go, and unfortunately they did not get rid of Stigadrix. And nor did they buff Stigadrix. In fact, they actually nerfed a few creatures with the creature update. So let's just get the bad news out of the way and just get to that first. Creature updates. They nerfed the Apexes, the two best ones anyway. I understand why they did it, but I don't like the reasoning, because now it means you go through all that work for a slightly weaker version of something that was already OP. And Magnus was not one I was expecting at all, because I thought Magnus was... It is OP, but unfortunately they did it. They nerfed it horribly. All of its stats, except for its health, have been nerfed. You might as well just use Monolo Rhino now, because... Sure, this guy has like 50 extra damage, but it's like, that's like 200 less damage you're doing when you come in to fight. Speed, not a problem, because let's face it, you just use instant velocity or whatever. Armor, and crit... Well, I don't really care about crit chance, because honestly, my Magnus never gets the crit chance anyway, so what's the difference? Like, really, for me anyway, the only things affected is its attack and its armor. It's honestly not that... They could have done a lot worse, but it's still painful. I don't want to sugarcoat it because there's not much. Hadros Lux does look like it got less of a forgiving... wasn't forgiven as much, but the way I see it, it's actually a little more balanced. A good trade-off for what it's supposed to be in battle. Because right now, where it is right now, it's like it kills everything. So I understand why they had to nerf it the way they did. Reduce the damage, because this thing is a vulnerable making machine. Resilient Rampage replaced with Decelerating Impact. At first I was like, yeah, that's dumb, I hate that. But now I'm thinking, now this means... Wait a second, that means I can impose Vulnerable on Erlicospix or Gorgotrabax, and then go for Decelerating Impact, slow it down, and then go for the Rampage. And then I'm still equally as vulnerable to a Dracorex or I don't know, Monolo Rhino as I was before. So, honestly, this makes it much worse against Thor and Mort, which it's supposed to be, and much more efficient against Erlicospix and Gorgotrabax without killing them in a single hit. So... honestly, that's pretty good. It also means deceleration on turn 1, because if it was Decelerating Rampage, which I would have preferred, it means it cannot decelerate on the first turn, and it means an overall nerf. So I'm okay with Hadros Lux's rework. I'm honestly okay with it. I kind of wish they went for Group Decelerating Rampage, as opposed to Decelerating Impact, because that means it would also have a use in raids. So that would have been nice, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. I'm good with this. Mortem Rex basically had its resistances bumped up, which it should have had a few updates ago, instead of reducing it. So that's much better now. Also means that Hadros Lux is useless against Mort, as it should be. Which means Baxter is great against Mort, to an extent. Yeah, it's actually great against Mort. Mort is great against Lux, and Lux is great against Baxter. Or maybe the decrease in damage actually makes it worse against Baxter, but we'll find out. We will find out. I still wish they gave us a stat boost reshuffle, so that we could actually, reboost certain things. Like, I want to remove Magnus from my team in exchange for something way, 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 way cooler. I'm gonna keep Lux on forever because that's like one of my token resilience, and now it can decelerate, which makes it even better for me, because I only have one decelerator on my team, and right now, she's not that great. Testicarnibus, which also got nerfed in this, but I'm honestly not too fussed about this one because it's a pretty fair nerf in my eyes. Swap in heal removed, which again that hurts a little bit, but it's like understandable. It had so much healing going on for it that it kind of needed something to be removed. Stun resistance changed to 67%, which is again fair, so you can stop it from always healing when you hit it, because that's again, Testicarnibus just shot up the arenas. I saw someone just sweep a whole team with it. It's not right. And this is the one that's most important to me. Swap resistance reduced, which is... I feel like a lot more resilience should have that. Like Mammolania, Ardentis Maxima, they all need to have that reduced or removed because, you know, Lockdown is supposed to be an anti-resilient move, but that's kind of useless when 90% of resilience in the unique tier are swap immunity, so redundant. So I'm okay with these changes. Magnus is the one I'm honestly most hurt about, but the others I feel like they got fair trade. Magnus got nothing. Now let's get on to abilities. There's honestly a lot. I'm actually not going to go over all of them, but let's just say they are getting very creative with their abilities, which I prop to them for doing that for once. Let's get over the new creatures, which is the one I was most excited for, and for the most part I was 75% right about all the creatures. There is actually one hybrid on the list that wasn't included in this update, and one creature that wasn't an ingredient, and I'm honestly glad that I was wrong about it, because it means we get something. I'm glad I was wrong about two of them, because it means we get some new creatures from old creatures, which is really nice. Sort of, anyway. Argentarix is Archaeopteryx, and Argentave is just as I predicted. I mean, can you imagine a long-necked Archaeopteryx? That would be weird. You have to program a whole new model for something that's already a relatively new model. Abilities, it's a Cunning Swarmer, Alert Buffed Strike, Evasive Rampage, Fearless Alert, Delayed Cunning Rampage. None of the new abilities, just abilities from the last update. Honestly, not sure if this one's going to be too good. Swap in Distraction, Alert on Escape, Evasion. I mean, I guess a lot of people do... Apparently, Archaeopteryx was really good in the last tournament, but I honestly didn't see it because I used Archaeopteryx and I kind of could tell it was so easy. Like, I fought against it a few times. It was really easy to defeat. So again, I don't think this is better than the Compy or the Compy Hybrid. Definitely not. Fearless Alert might make it a little more usable since it does have an active heal, rally heal, but then it has that delayed attack. It has only two attacks. Both of them are just regular strikes at first glance. I'm not sure. I don't remember how Fearless Alert works. So I'm gonna get it, but I'm not gonna level it up too much. Probably gonna use it for a skill tournament just to see how good it actually is. Then we have Megalotops, which I'm glad to say was Megalonyx and Nazutoceratops, as opposed to Arctops, which I originally thought, which would eventually make Andrewtops, which is actually... Also, I was wrong about that one as well. So, I was a lot more wrong than I thought, but most of the creatures I was relatively right. Hybrid components, Megalonyx and Nazutoceratops. This one is basically a wild card, except I don't think it has any fierce abilities. No, it doesn't. Actually, no, I was wrong. It has armor piercing counter. It's actually a true wild card. Camouflage on Escape, which was a surprise move for everyone. Stunning Alert, Cautious Rampage, Camouflage, Distracting Impact, and Determined Strike, which is a new ability, which basically a combination of Cunning and Resilient Strike put into one, which is a really nice thing to see. They're actually starting to make some customized abilities, which can make things a little more creative for certain creatures. Glyptoceras, I'm honest, actually, so Megalonyx is one of the creatures that is getting a boss. So I'm not gonna unlock that one because I'll just wait for it to come out and then just unlock it through bosses. This is another one that's actually getting a boss, which is very much needed. See how this is basically a continent exclusive. I could honestly easily get this guy because Stegosaurus is actually quite common in my area because I live in Canada. But then Rinchakaion, which is one I really want because Rinchania is a really nice looking creature, lives in like Europe or something. So that one's honestly difficult to get. And that one's also getting a boss. I mean, as in the hybrid's getting a boss. So I'm glad to see that. Resilient Cunning, which I'm honestly glad to see more of. Instant Charge, Resilient Impact, Critical Rampage, which is exactly what it sounds like. No delay, by the way, so keep that in mind. And this is kind of dumb. Alert, Swap, and Stun is basically the same thing as Stunning Alert, but they changed the name and said it's a different ability for some reason. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. And then here is Rinchikayon, which is, again, getting a boss, so good, that's good. It's not going to be impossible to obtain. Devious Strike, Instant Buff, Fierce Impact, Alert, Safety, Rampage. Instant Buff is basically a cleanse, increased speed, increased damage, and then 75% chance to dodge, which is really good. There is, I think, a cooldown of 1 afterwards, which is honestly pretty good. I think I prefer that over Hop and Mock. Alert, Safety, Rampage, it swaps between a Cleansing Rampage and an Impact and Run, depending on how high or low your HP is. Collision, if you try to run away from this thing, it's going to deal one critical hit to you. And now here's the creature I did not see coming because it was not leaked at all. Phororex. Phorosaura finally has a hybrid, and it's with none other than Dracorex Gen 2. So, start requesting Dracorex, people. We're going to start needing its DNA. I'm not going to unlock it because I've seen its skill set. It's not fit for my team, but I can definitely see it. A lot of people who love Phorosaura are definitely going to want this guy on your team, especially with its new abilities. It's Cunning and Fierce. Let's see, what is it? Daring Strike, which is a combination of Fierce and Cunning, so that's honestly really good. Critical Sidestep, which is Sidestep with a critical chance. No delays at all. No delays or cooldowns at all. This was supposed to be down there, but they accidentally put it up here. So we'll get to that. That's basically On Escape Stunning. So Lockdown followed by a Stun, which can be very good for creatures who want to impact and run. Cautious Cunning Rampage, which is basically a priority Cunning Rampage with a cooldown of 2, no delay. So, like, 3 different abilities it could go for. It's basically Phorosaura with advanced abilities. Lethal Rampage and Run. Basically, break shields, deal a rampage, bleed, and then run away. That's, like, amazing. Delay 2, cooldown 2, which is understandable for an OP ability like this. When I saw this, I was hoping that meant they were giving Stigadrix a buff, but I was wrong. They don't care about Pterosaurs at all, which I'm honestly upset about. Alert, Rending, Lockdown, you swap in, you deal Savagery. I think it's Savagery? I think it's more than Savagery, maybe? I don't know. And then deal a Pin. And then if you're weaker, like your HP is lower, then you just deal less damage. So like half of what you would normally do. So keep an eye on this one, because I think we're going to see this one in the meta once people start unlocking it, which they probably could, because Dracorex and Phorosaur have been in the game for a long time, and people have plenty of time to rack up its DNA. I have loads of Maiasaur and Forest Rakkus to level up, so I could definitely get this guy if I wanted to. But then again, remember, we don't know their stats yet, so maybe it has no resistances, and that might completely ruin it. So we gotta keep those in mind. And now, the one I was most excited for. Indotaurus, and its photo looks so cool. This is the one I've been saving up all my coin for. I have loads of Carnotaurus DNA to level it up, so I'm definitely gonna get this guy when the update comes out. Immediately. The Fierce Indotaurus is a fusion of Carnotaurus and Indominus Rex, 2 predators who have hunted near the top of Isla Nublar food chain. Could there be a new Isla Nublar Alpha in our midst? Oh, I really wish they would make a toy of that. I know it's basically a buff Carnoraptor, but I loved Carnoraptor and I loved Indominus Rex. I still love both of them, so I wouldn't mind having them both as one giant creature. So I'm happy with this, especially with its skill set. It's a fierce creature, keep in mind, and it's a really good one. Fierce Strike, Intimidating Impact, Cleansing Rampage, Revenge Taunting Cloak, and this is the big one. It has Pesky Alert and Greater Rending Counter. What are these abilities? Basically, Intimidating Impact is a defense-shattering impact that implements Vulnerable at the end. So if this thing goes first, you impose Vulnerable, then someone attacks you and you go for Greater Rending Counter, you're basically dealing a massive hit. And if they even try to escape, Pesky Alert is basically On Escape Cloak. And then I think the cloak gets weaker, no, it gets stronger the weaker it is. So that is like super good. And then we have Revenge Taunting Cloak, which unfortunately it still has a cooldown of 3 no matter whether it's Revenge or not, but it does have a taunt. And it only deals 2.5 on Revenge, but I think that's okay because it has a lot of damage. Now hopefully it has all the resistances that Indo Gen 2 has, as well as good stats. I'm really hoping that it doesn't have, that these creatures have good stats, because I really want to use this creature. This is the one I'm going to replace Sarah Magnus with, because I have a lot of swappers on my team, and with Sarah Magnus's nerf, I really don't feel like using it anymore. Lux, I'm stubborn because Lux is my favorite of the Apexes. Even before I knew it was OP, I loved it, and I wanted to use it, because it's like, you don't expect a Hadrosaur to be super strong, and that's why I love Hadros Lux, because it's like something that's usually cannon fodder is now one of the strongest creatures in the game. It's going to be a lot weaker, but at the same time, still really good against a good foil for Cunnings. So I'm happy to keep that one on the team. And Indotaurus, I'm okay with getting rid of Sarah Magnus in exchange for an Unescaper, because really the only one I have is Testacarnibus, and that one's okay. That one's good to have, but then if I'm up against like something like Thordor or Mort, then it's dead. So then it'll be nice to have something a little more range, especially another render, another counterattacker as well. I only have, oh no, I have quite a few counterattackers, and then I just love having creatures that have some form of revenge, counterattack, something. Do I have any creatures that don't have that? I think Pokondactyls is probably my weakest link. I could remove that, but I'm too stubborn to get rid of Pokondactyls at this point. It's finally good, and I want to keep it on my team, because I want to use the creatures that I want rather than the ones that the game wants me to use. Andrewtops. This one is Andrewtodon and Arctops. So I was right about Arctops having a hybrid that isn't Acrocanthops, which honestly isn't that great of a creature. But Andrewtops is finally a wolf hybrid. Or is it? Yeah, it's a wolf hybrid that looks like a lizard. It's going to be an ugly one. I think we can actually catch a glimpse of it if we look at the markers. They compared this to an Argentinian Tegu. It's a wildcard jack of all trades. So I think it has everything. Daring Strike? Is that basically the... Hang on, does Forosora have that as well? You do, okay. What else do you have? Delayed Revenge Striking Rampage is a really good ability. It basically means... it's basically distracting Rampage, but you can basically do it... You can just spam it. Hang on, let me check its ability, actually. Okay, if you use it normally, there is a delay, but then if you use it right off the bat, there is no delay, and it only has one cooldown, so you can spam this ability. That's actually really good. In addition to Cleansing Impact and Piercing Revenge, which is basically rending with a pin down? Hang on, what else does it have again? Oh, I gotta check again. Where is it? Oh wait, no, it's right there. Remove shields, deal 40% damage. Oh, okay, on Revenge, no delay. Got it, okay, that's all it has. And it has Exposing Vulnerability. So if this thing is slow... Counter Vulnerability, which is basically... Exposing Vulnerability, except you actually deal damage in addition to making them vulnerable. So that's honestly really good. I can see it doesn't have No Escape, instead has Swap in Lockdown. Probably not as good, but you know what? Considering it has so many pin down abilities, I think this one's going to be a good creature, depending on if it has good stats, because I know Arctops and Andrewtodon do not have good stats normally, so yeah, I'm not sure this one's going to be too good. It has good abilities, but its stats are probably going to be not too great, neither its resistances. So I'm excited for this update, and I honestly cannot wait for Indotaurus. I've been saving up all my coins and all my Carnotaur DNA for this creature ever since I found out it's coming soon. And yeah, I'm honestly really excited. What will my team look like now? Now, I do have Gemini Titan, so if Hadros Lux does... If the nerf to Hadros Lux, if I'm wrong, and it's actually really bad, I could always switch to Gemini Titan to get a Decelerator as well as a new Shield Breaker. And actually more HP, if I'm being honest. Because, let's face it, Gemini Titan only has 50 less damage in exchange for more HP, so you could honestly... Both of those are pretty interchangeable now. And, I am going to remove Sarah Magnus, though, for this guy. Once I get it to, like, a good level, I'm going to have to save up my boosts, save up my Carnotaur DNA. Scorpius also uses Carnotaur DNA, so that might be a bad idea. But it doesn't take as much Carnotaur DNA as this guy is going to need. And there are Carnotaur raid bosses, and I could always farm Carnotaur, so I'll slowly get it into my team. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you think that all these new creatures make up for the loss of Magnus, Lux, and Testacarnivus, who only recently entered the field, but is like, you're still going to see a lot of it because the nerf isn't too bad for Testacarnivus? Or do you think that those are you can completely ignore those in exchange for all these new creatures, which are all getting raid bosses, meaning they're going to be a lot easier to obtain than at first thought? So give your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.